Look, Trump's going to be hard to beat. If he were to lose, I think the bull market would happen pretty quickly. We almost act like a bank. We want product in your hands within a day to 2 days max. That's our goal at all times.
Please join us for our next live stream, Sunday, February the 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll go over current events, past guests, and of course, gold and silver news. Once again, our next live stream will be Sunday, February the 9th, 9 p.m. Eastern. See you then. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira. Once again, if you are new to this channel or you have not already done so, please do subscribe. Click on the bell to be notified on new updates and do give us a thumbs up if you like what we do. We really do appreciate your support. Today we have with us a return guest, Ken Lewis, the CEO of APMEX, a well-known leading online dealer of precious metals products headquartered in Oklahoma City, U.S. Today, APMEX has grown into a billion-dollar company with more than 200 employees. And Ken is also the CEO of OneGold, a digital marketplace for buying, selling, and redeeming gold securely. And we are delighted to have Ken here today as return guest. Good day, Ken, and welcome back to SBTV. How are you doing?
Doing great, my man. Thanks for having me on again.
Glad to have you back. Ken, we last spoke with you about a year ago and how sentiments about gold have changed in a year. Gold prices broke recent highs going past 1,600. And so let's start with your outlook for gold this year. How do you see gold performing this year and what are the reasons for your outlook?
Look, we don't give financial advice as a retailer. But, me as an individual, I invest in the precious metal space. Look, I think what you've seen even over the first part of this year is a positive for gold and silver. Look, I think the economic events, I think the concern about the virus and its impact on growth for the economies of different countries out there. I think World Bank demand for precious metals at very high levels like they've been. I think low interest rates and negative interest rates like you're seeing in Europe all point positively to precious metals. So I would, be optimistic. Having said that, sitting at 1585 gold, it's been a nice run over the last 2 years. I think there's definitely more upside, but I don't think it's going to be at the pace that we've seen maybe over the last 18 months. I think silver has, in my personal opinion, more upside than gold. Primarily because of the gold silver ratio. When you look at where it's at historically, it just feels undervalued. When you look at where it is compared to its all-time highs, and when you look at, frankly, where it is versus, what's the low for silver? 1450, and you're sitting in the 18 range. So your downside risk is minimal, and your upside could be fairly significant. So yeah, I think precious metals are a great space to be. And frankly, I think they're a great space to be, not just because they may perform well. I think they're a great place to be for diversification strategies. I think, if you're holding equities and you're 80% equities right now, you'd be smart to have 10% in precious metals just in case, because as we all know that there's a correlation. When the equities market struggle, precious metals do very, very well. Why would you not want to have to, hedge your bet a little bit and put a little bit in metals would be a smart play, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good opinion. Gold and silver were in a bull market between 2000 and 2011. That was a 10, 11-year run or so. Of course, yeah, we know precious metals, they underwent a bear market after that. But here we are in the 2020s, a decade after. You think we'll see a repeat of that bull market in this decade in the 2020s?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt we will. I'm 99.9% confident. I think, normally these things go in 10-year runs, right? So we're due. I think the question mark in the U.S. is our political setup and where we're at with that. Look, we're growing for various reasons, right? We're getting aggressive on trade policies. We're growing the national debt over here to exponential levels that we've never seen before in our history. Eventually, you got to pay for that debt. I think as you start accumulating that debt, there's a day it's going to come to where the country's not going to be able to grow through the government changing tax laws and putting money back into the system. So I think it's coming. I don't think it's going to be probably the next year. I think we might be 2 or 3 years out on that. Look, Trump's going to be hard to beat. I think he's kind of got a good lead right now. If he were to lose, I think the bull market would happen pretty quickly. If he wins, I think it's going to be a matter of how long can he sustain growth by pushing money back into the system. That's just my personal opinion. I also do think world events, like other parts of the world, are seeing better demand for precious metals in the U.S. I mean, Europe has had a nice run here. And I was talking to a couple of my buddies. They're still pretty strong even into the new year. It will be interesting to see if maybe at some point it isn't just the U.S. that's driving a lot of the bull market. It's other parts of the world that get really excited about the metal.
Yeah, speaking about that market, at this moment the U.S. is still in its longest business cycle, and the stock market is still at pretty heady highs. It seems like every week we're getting a new all-time high. Several guests that we've spoken with on this channel, they do believe a correction or even a financial crisis is due. Do you see any bubbles in the economy that are at risk of popping, which could bring about the crisis like what we saw in 2008?
Well, look, I think there's definitely a possibility, right? I think there's some things that are better today than they were, and there's some things that are a little worse, right? I was reading an article, credit card debts at levels that we've seen back in 2008, maybe even higher than that. But I think we've also done some smart things with, we don't have subprime mortgages, for example, to levels we used to have, where people were borrowing against their equities of their home, and then the value of the homes plummeted, and it caused a credit hit that the banking systems really felt strongly over here. So I think there's some things that are going to prevent a complete bubble busting. But with that said, when you look at the multiple that the equities are trading at, how sustainable is that? I was looking at a company, they'll remain nameless, but I was looking at a company that I know fairly well here. They're trading at 111 multiple. At 111 multiple, there's got to be a day where that's going to come back to earth. And so, yeah, I think it's possible, primarily because of the valuations of stocks right now in the market. It just seems outrageous where we're at. There's got to be some kind of bring back on that. Is it going to be a complete bubble like 2008 where you really felt it more substantially? It's possible. Maybe I'm a little skeptical that we're not going to see that big a hit, at least for the next couple of years, just because, I mean, frankly, we're growing GDP. We're doing a lot of good things. Unemployment's low, interest rates are low. We have conditions that are a lot different than 2008. But I think equities are going to have resistance. At a minimum, you're going to see equities start to face some resistance. From there, it really, I think, probably more depends on world events that might, pop the bubble than it is necessarily what's going on in the U.S. Just my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a good answer. Since we're talking about these things, how does gold perform typically in a recession or a crisis?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know the answer to that. I mean, it does very well normally, right? And it's a safe haven investment, right? It's been around forever. It's viewed as something that you can retain your value in. It's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were both debating how much cash do you keep offline, how much do you keep investments, and all that. And I was sitting here talking about, unless you're earning some interest on your cash, you'd be silly not to hold gold. And we were simply talking about inflation, right? And what inflation does to the dollar. And it's astronomical. I mean, I think my team went back and looked at some data for me. Something like, I think it's since 19, I well, actually might be since the year 2000, something like a 40% reduction in the value of the dollar. Crazy when you think about it. So, yeah, gold does very well in tough market times. My wife, I always tell her we have a natural hedge in what I do for a living. When the market's going great, we're going to make money on our equities. When the market goes crazy, we're going to do really well on the business side because metals tend to do very well, and for the right reasons, by the way. I mean, look at how they perform price wise. Look at the reverse relationship equities. Look at how they fight inflation. I mean, it performs well for the right reasons.
Yeah. That was a great answer. Thank you for bailing me out on that softball question there. Oh, embarrassing times, huh? Uh, for investors who are considering between buying gold or silver, how would you usually advise them? I know you just had said silver is undervalued right now, but how would you usually, let's say, offer your opinion to them?
Look, I think it's really up to your situation and where you're at, and what your goals are. Gold is the dominant product we sell as a company. 75% of our business in gold. So remember, we deal in physical and digital. On the physical side, holding a lot of silver is a challenge for people. Where do you store it? We offer storage mechanisms to them, but a lot of physical buyers like to have the metal sitting in their homes for various reasons. So silver is sometimes a hard sell just because of the physical constraints that come with it. But if you don't have that issue, you're dealing in digital or you're using storage mechanisms, I think really we like to just pitch the way that silver has performed historically. What does projections look like? What are analysts saying? I mean, most of the analyst projections I'm reading right now say silver have a far more upside than gold does. And I don't think I've seen one yet that hasn't said that, to be honest with you. So we just like to share write-ups from various analysts out there with our customers to guide them a little bit. But at the end of the day, it really depends on your situation and how you want to hold the metal. And look, gold has been around forever. Gold is a resource that we only have a limited supply of. There is generally an affinity or a thought that gold's only going to go up in value due to its scarcity, right? Silver is a lot different. It's a lot of industrial use. It's readily available in the markets. So silver has a different dynamic going on with it than gold, but they tend to correlate with each other. When gold goes up, silver tends to go up. So I think silver can ride the coattails of gold and see a higher percent return potentially as well.
Okay. Next two questions will be about APMEX. The first one, can you explain a little about how state and local tax applies when customers buy precious metals with APMEX online?
Yeah. What a pain, right? The Wayfair ruling, man, it's so unfair in many ways. My opinion, as a retailer, you would expect nothing different, probably. What's tough for us is the product we sell is an investable product. We're not selling a product that people are playing around the house with using as doorstops. It's an investment. It's something that they're seeing opportunity to make a return on. Unfortunately, there's a number of states in the U.S. that give you no exemption for that, and they say, hey, you're going to pay sales tax on this just like you pay sales tax on your gas or an Amazon buy or anything else. And I could be a little off on this, but something like 10 or 11 states that have no exemptions, and we're hopeful one day maybe those states will see the light and see that precious metals should not be taxed. There are then a group of states that have what they call partial exemptions. So, depending on your order size, and by the way, every state's different. So it's going through and interpreting state law, making sure you're doing it accurately as a retailer, collecting the tax and remitting it back to the states is a very, very difficult process for us. We had to hire the best of accountants and lawyers to help us get through it. We do not want any risk. We don't want states coming back for back tax. So we're very, very careful about that. On our website, by the way, we give you a state-by-state review of exactly the laws. We tell you where we interpret it from, and we ask your customers if you differ or you have a different view to let us know, because we've actually had a couple of instances where customers actually pointed something out that we had misinterpreted. But getting back to it, it's been a killer for us. If you're a fully taxed state, my revenue for those states are down dramatically. And talking to my competition, it's no different. We're all feeling the hit. Does that mean a black market starting to create? Are people going across state lines to get into precious metals? Are they going maybe a digital route or an ETF route? They're definitely finding other options maybe to get into metal, but they're not buying physical at the rate they used to, and it's very painful.
Yeah. One more question with APMEX. When customers sell their precious metals to APMEX, what should they be aware about as far as income tax, maybe capital gains of sorts?
Yeah, look, we generally tell customers that they should do their own research on that. It's all self-reported. We don't provide any tax documents per se. We sometimes ask for a W-9 for verification, simply to log that. We don't provide that to the government. It's an unregulated product. It is clearly outlined how you should do taxes, in my opinion. There's actually a hobby tax, believe it or not. It's not capital gains that you actually have to use for precious metals. But again, we defer that to the customer, what their cost basis is, what their gains are. That's really all for them to figure out. What I would tell you, if you're selling back metals, though, it's really, really important to do business with a high integrity company. If someone's not letting you lock your metal in on the phone when you decide to sell to them, that's a mistake. If someone is not able to work with you in terms of logistics and helping you get it back with insurance, you probably should look at other options. We, for example, we let customers leverage our insurance, our rates with our carriers. We give them a ship label. We make it very easy. And then the third thing I always say is if they're not going to give you your money within 2 days, then you might want to find someone else to do business with. We literally offer a 2-day service with a third-day guaranteed payment, and if we don't do that, we're gonna give you some kind of refund back to take care of you for our mistake. And I think it's important that other sellers do exactly what I'm saying. Cash needs to be in the hand of the customer ASAP, and they should have no risk in this process if we can prevent it as retailers.
Okay. Let's get into One Gold. APMEX has partnered with Sprott to offer customers a digital marketplace for buying, selling, and redeeming gold securely called One Gold. For our viewers who have not heard of One Gold, can you explain what it is and how it works?
Yeah, look, we have two products on the site today. We have a Canadian product and we have a U.S. product. In both cases, they sell gold and silver. I will tell you, we're working on London and Switzerland. Hope to have those up in the next 45 days. We'll see. Working through that process. I was literally just in Europe 2 weeks ago to help make that a reality. So think about it as a way to store metal around the world. What we do is we buy the metal in a basically a pooled position. So we almost act like a bank. We go out and we get institutional pricing where we're able to go out and buy pooled metal. That is, in one case with the RCM up in Canada, that metal is actually work in process and not fully segregated, but it is allocated. In the case of the U.S. and any location around the world, it will be physically allocated and segregated in our own pile for our customers. The metal is audited at least twice a year by a top 5 accounting firm, fully insured by Lloyd's at all times, as well as the vaulting partner we're using. We only use tier 1 vaulting partners or sovereign government. So the Royal Canadian Mint, Lynx, Brinks, Loomis, those types of operations is who we use. In the U.S., we are also using the APMEX vault, but if anyone's ever been to our vault, we're in a formal Federal Reserve building. So our vaulting atmosphere is actually better than most banks. And we're actually audited for physical security once a year as well to make sure we're up to compliance. So that's how it works. By doing that, customers can get into metal at pricing that really is unheard of. We charge 30 basis points for metal. So it's about $4 over spot for gold, a little over $4, and it's about 5 to 6 cents for silver. So you're getting into a product, it's physically backed, you have title at all times, fully secure, and you're getting into it at a price that really is comparable to an ETF.
Okay. Well, I trust you more than banks anyway, so I'll take your word for it there. Um, but since our first interview, I've had viewers ask me this question. Given that APMEX is a American company, why doesn't it partner with the U.S. Mint for One Gold?
I would love to. I would love to. I can tell you that I'm talking to sovereign governments in other parts of the world. The U.S. Mint's just not quite there yet. I will tell you, though, their new director and their leadership, frankly, over the last 3 or 4 years, they're really starting to come around. They're starting to think a little bit more like a business, not a government entity. I've been very impressed with some of the new hires and some of the things they're doing. So I don't think it's out of the realm of the future, but at this time, it's not something they would consider. Now, as you probably know, there's only 13 companies in the world that are a direct purchaser from the U.S. Mint, and we're one of them. And we're the only retailer. They're all wholesalers or banks. So, we're uniquely positioned. And by the way, the reason why that is you got to have a balance sheet that has significant assets on it to be able to qualify. I bring that up because as companies or as consumers are thinking about where to invest, do you want to invest in, I'm not going to name my competition, but do you want to invest in companies that are not financially backed, don't have a balance sheet where the U.S. government would embrace them like an APMEX does? And then a Sprott, publicly traded company at a $750 million valuation, you got reputable companies that you're doing business with. I can sleep better at night knowing that if I'm a consumer, where a lot of these new cryptos and other products, it's really hard to know where the money's coming from.
Yeah. Okay. Ken, from a One Gold perspective, and even for us, we always hear this question. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. What's your answer? What's your answer to that?
Well, obviously, look, I'm the number one seller of physical in the U.S., so I don't disagree with that assessment. And I think there's many individuals in the world that are true believers in physical, having it under lock and key in their own homes. We have no problem with that. We support that customer fully and always have. I've done over $10 billion in business that way, and it's been really good to me. So I don't disagree with that statement. What I would say though is a lot of those same people also have investments in the equities markets. They've gone out and they bought stocks. They've gone out and they bought real estate. They've made investments other ways. And I think what you're finding is the digital offering we're offering out there is a nice complement for those who want to take a broader position in metal, but also want to maybe liquidate it quickly. They want to be in and out in a matter of a day. You can do that with that platform at very, very, very low cost. And it's important to know, and I talked about this last time, a digital format gives you other capabilities down the road that you can never do in a physical environment very easily. What if you want to borrow against your metal? Well, I've got it. It's sitting here. You've got title. I'm able to easily use that as security. I can lend you money. No problem. A very, very simple way of using it. Or redemption. You want to take that metal and convert it into a gold eagle and have it shipped to your home? No problem. We'll send it to you in a matter of a day. So you have capabilities that you just can't offer sometimes in the physical world. And so again, I truly believe in those who say you don't own it unless you can touch it. Look, there are customers as well, and they've been good to us. And I think those customers are also looking for ways to get additional exposure to metals without having the burden of have to physically go back and sell it, like sometimes happens with physical.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. When APMEX buys gold from the Royal Canadian Mint, the company puts it up on a blockchain ledger called Vault Chain, which is a technology from Tradewind Markets, and this makes the gold available on OneGold for sale to investors. The gold that APMEX purchased for the purpose of backing OneGold's digital gold is stored with the Royal Canadian Mint. Can you share with us what type of gold products are these? Are they, let's say, 400-ounce LBMA bars, kilo bars, 1 ounce coins, etc.?
Yeah, so let's get into that for a second. So we do use Tradewind for a ledger, blockchain ledger. It's just a ledger, and I think frankly we're reevaluating whether the ledger is the right way to go because the fact of the matter is it's not cheap to have, and consumers generally don't see a lot of value in the ledger because it's not really meant to be crypto. If you think about it in our space, a lot of the competing products out there are cryptocurrencies where they put you on a blockchain. And ideally, they're going to try to make a market for you where you can go out and trade this around with other different platforms. The reality is, it's hard to find ways to trade that metal. And the fact of the matter is, it turns out to be pretty expensive for the consumer. So we're evaluating the ledger concept, but we're not reevaluating whether we do business with the Royal Canadian Mint. In that case, you got a sovereign government. What they do is, and they make this available to banks. So banks come in and they actually buy aggressively metal at the Royal Canadian Mint, and they actually trade that and sometimes convert that to physical to ship out. We're just another party into the play. So that metal could be in refining, it could be in grain, it can be in manufacturing processes, it can actually be in physical bars, it can be in any number of conditions at the Royal Canadian Mint. What they do is they guarantee you that you have X number of ounces through that process, and they basically put their government behind that, so you protect it. So I don't have to go get an insurance policy with the Royal Canadian Mint. I know the government of Canada stands behind their operation. In the case of our U.S. operation, what we're doing is we're taking metal that we normally had sold to banks. That metal could be eagles, maples, bars. It can be in any number of products. And in that case, we're going out and we're now selling it to our customers and segregating it within the vault. In the past, we would sell it to a bank and segregate it in the vault. So it's just switching out a bank for OneGold customers, full title in both cases. And if you ever want to redeem, obviously I'm not going to give you the product sitting in my vault that's you sold against. What I'm going to do is convert your digital to a different product, whatever you decide to pick on our site, and then we ship you that product to you to your home. I would say in the case of Europe and Switzerland and London, it will be kilos and 400-ounce bars that we'll be dealing with in those cases, stuck into a Loomis or a Brinks vault. So those will be more probably the traditional way people think of. But in the case of the U.S., it's product that we've sold to banks in the past. In the case of Canada, it can be a work in process.
Okay, makes sense. from a customer perspective, can the users of OneGold verify that all digital gold is backed by physical gold and that the backing is never under 100%?
Yeah, we guarantee that. And using the blockchain was a way we helped do that because we said go to the blockchain, verify it. What we're now doing to make sure customers are comfortable is we're doing outside audits and they're counting our ounces and comparing it to our ownership level. What I tell customers is an audit is an audit. Sometimes those audits may not be accurate. That's why you got to really look closely at the company you do business with. APMEX is, we do about $900 million a year in revenue on the physical side. We're legit. You're going to be protected with a company like us. We will make customers available to come see the inventory if they so choose. It's something we can accommodate. Don't like to do that often because, frankly, there's security mechanisms you have to go through that are pretty rigorous here. But the metal's always there, has to be there. We won't sell the metal unless we have it there. Technically, we have 48 hours to settle. So if a customer comes in and does $1 million deal, I may not have $1 million of metal sitting there. Although procure that metal within 48 hours, it will physically be there at all times.
Okay. I think you touched on this a little, but the premiums and spreads, how do they compare with ETFs and physical gold?
Yeah, look on the front end, you're paying a fee up front because you're paying about 30 bips on the front end. You do have a spread, so when you go to sell, it's 30 bips on the back end. Plus, there's about a $2 spread between bid and ask. I'm talking gold right now, so it's a little bit more expensive in the short term. But let's talk about how they're different, right? ETFs, is the metal really there? Debatable depending upon which ETF you look at. I think there's been some studies done to say that it's almost impossible for the metal to all be there in certain cases. So that's a question mark. Can you do redemption? Well, if you want a 400-ounce gold bar, maybe. Do they make it easy for redemption? Absolutely not. When you start drilling into your ability to leverage it in other ways, whether that be lending against it, whether that be switching your metal out between gold and silver very easily, or even whether that means storing it in different locations around the world, you can't do that with an ETF. So, in our opinion, in the short term, it's slightly more expensive than an ETF, but you're getting so many other benefits that you don't get with an ETF. And I forgot one of the biggest benefits. You have title. So if I were to go bankrupt, I'd give my log of all the customers who own metal in the vault, and they would go out and they would liquidate the metal and distribute the dollars to all the customers, and you'd be whole. On an ETF, you got counterparty risk. You do not have title. So we think it's a better product, slightly more expensive, but you're getting so many other things. I think it's worth it. And I haven't talked about it yet, but we've built an app that we launched 3 weeks ago that if you can't trade metal in 15 seconds, then something's wrong. It's that easy to buy and sell on the platform. Where, again, ETFs make that a little bit more challenging because you got to go through a broker. You got to have arrangements with the broker to be able to buy the ETF. You buy directly from the source. Always, we never put a middle guy in the middle. It makes it a lot more easier for you.
Okay. Ken, you mentioned leveraging. So, with regards to the selling of digital gold on the on OneGold, is the sellback from customers guaranteed?
Absolutely, 100%. And we display the price at all times. If anyone wants to learn about a product, our FAQs, they may be hundreds of pages now. We have tried to outline every scenario possible in our FAQs. So customers can go and read those, and you should be able to get your question answered. We want to be transparent. It's very, very important. Trust, transparency, credibility. You got to have that in this space. You might as well not be in the gold business. And that's our goal. We're trying to answer all your questions. And by the way, another thing that's very important to us is if you have questions, you can chat with us, or you can send us an email, or you can call us. And if you don't get a response within an hour or two, then we did something wrong or get a live response. We're trying to service the customers at a very, very high level. So yes, you're always able to sell the product back. There's never an exception to that. And the price we're going to pay is displayed on our site at all times.
That's good. I think a lot of people are gonna appreciate that. Regarding the redemption, of physical gold with OneGold, can this only be done with APMEX, or are there other parties that they can redeem gold with?
So today, it's only with APMEX. We ship worldwide. I think we have something like 50, 60 products on the site. We also remind people, if you've ever been to the APMEX website, we have about 20,000 products on the APMEX website. We will actually allow you to buy any of those products on the APMEX website using your digital gold. You just have to go through a chat or phone call with our people. So right today's APMEX. What I am looking at, and I'm getting very close to announcing a partnership in the UK, and then I'm going to be announcing partnerships in Europe as well, where I'm going to select partners that will act as redemption partners in each of those geographies. And so my intention is that you shop globally, but when you actually want physical, you deal locally. Because frankly, they know how to deal with the VAT taxes. They know how to deal with shipment to your home and the carriers involved and insurance. And you're going to get the inventory a lot faster. We want insurance in your hand. We want product in your hands within a day to 2 days max. That's our goal at all times. So when you do redemption, it's a great experience for you.
Okay, you mentioned those partnerships. Any time frame? Is it coming up close? Weeks, months?
I've got one that we are literally on an LOI right now, and I think people will be excited. If you're in the UK, you'll be very excited about it. It's a company that we're going to have exclusivity on, and has probably the best reputation, I would argue, in the UK. We're very, very close on that. And by the way, that partner is going to provide other services than just redemption, which we're excited we'll offer that, or we'll talk about that here soon. In the case of Europe, though, if any of your Europe or even Asia, if anyone's out there listening that might be a retail partner, feel free to reach out. We're trying to find. We may even go down to the country level. We want to go with companies that are well regarded and can serve the customer very well. And then all we're going to do, just so you know, from a service standpoint for the consumer, is we're going to display the products that retailer has in stock at the pricing that retailer charges. So that way, it's almost like you're dealing with that retailer when you're doing your redemption.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You touch on that One Gold mobile app. I also understand that it allows gold to be purchased with Bitcoin.
Yeah, it does. Actually, we have a promotion right now. If anyone deals in Bitcoin, where we're waiving all fees. A company called BitPay, the largest wallet for cryptos, handles Bitcoin, handles Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and others. You can come on the site, and basically all your fees are waived. And we're excited about that because we are seeing Bitcoin customers tend to also be gold customers. And when they want to move their assets between the two, you can do that very easily on our site. Today, we don't offer the ability to pay you back. When you do withdrawal, pay you back in crypto, but we are looking at that as well. You can today only buy in crypto. But we offer so many other payment methods. We offer that. We offer traditional credit cards. We offer bank wires. And in the U.S., we do something very unique. We actually let you link your bank account. We use a third party called Plaid, who was just bought by Visa for $5 billion. They actually allow you, through their application, to go and log in directly into your bank or do micro deposits. So that way now you can move money seamlessly between your bank account and OneGold in a matter of seconds, back and forth, which is really unique. And last thing I'd say about the payment method is a lot of companies make you fund and then buy in an app environment. We let you buy up front, and we take the risk that the funds will come in later. So when you're on the site, you see gold, it's moving, it's the price you want to buy, go do the transaction, say it's going to be with your bank account or bank wire, and then the funds can come in after the transaction. That way you take advantage of the market when you want to take advantage of the market. You don't have to wait for the funding to come in and then buy.
I think that's one of the things that gold and silver buyers are looking for. We touched on this before we started recording. How has the demand for One Gold since its launch been, and which demographic group is it popular with so far?
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's done amazing well. The app has been adrenaline. I mean, it's crazy what the app has done for us, and we probably underestimated just the impact of what the app would be in our environment. We're north of 10,000 overall users now, which is great. Remember, this is a 13-month-old enterprise. Basically, it's been live for 13 months to the public. I can tell you, in the last 30 days. We've actually added new customers at a 9x rate, 9 times higher rate than we were running back in December and prior. And that's all because of the app. The app is bringing in a much larger user base. We're setting records on revenue this month by a good amount. records on new customers, record on new users. So the app is really working the way we had hoped it would. And the reason why is, and anyone who wants to download our app, you can go to our website, or you can go to the App Store and just search for OneGold. It's just easy to use. We've got, I think it was 150 pieces of feedback already on Google Play. And go look at the reviews. We're our 4.8 rating for a gold silver app to have a 4.78 rating is unheard of. And it's because we made it simple, intuitive. It's very straightforward. It's not overly complicated. And I think that's the problem in the gold and silver industry is we make it complicated. This makes it easy and simple and straightforward. But to answer your question about demographics, it really spans the spectrum. We've got a lot of younger individuals trying out the platform, and we have a stable set of group of individuals in their 50s and 60s that are also embracing it. It's actually amazing how it spreads the spectrum. I thought the app might be a younger generation that would use the app. You'd be amazed. We have a lot of customers that have migrated from the desktop to the app just because it's so easy. I tell my buddies, like I go to my website and I got to type in a password. Okay, geez. Okay, let me type that in. Or, I say my password's on a third-party app. Let me go get my password, bring it over. Now I got to do two-factor authorization for security reasons. Smart. Great, no problem. Now I'm into the platform. On the app or on the phone, you bring it up, you do facial recognition, no two-factor because facial recognition knows who you are. You're in and going. You tap the product you want. You've linked your bank account, picked up the payment method. You buy, you transact, done. 15 seconds, you've bought the metal. So I'm not even done logging in on the desktop yet, and I've already bought the metal on the app. So it's just really straightforward. And what's important too is people want to be able to see how their portfolio is performing. They want to be able to see how spot's performing. They want to be able to see market news. They want to be able to see their breakout of what they own by the metal and how that's actually performing. All of that's available on the app as well.
Exciting times, huh? Okay.
Yeah, it's where it's going, man. I mean, the app environment is where everything's going, in my opinion.
Yeah, agree. Last question. I think it's probably one of the more important questions. Can you share with us more about how OneGold is IRA compatible and what are the steps our viewers can take to hold digital gold in their IRAs?
So look, we're really happy. Strata is a company we just partnered with, and we're actually talking to 3 to 4 other IRA firms. The thought that IRAs would let you put digital gold into an IRA, we were like, will they go for this? And the reality is, you're as protected in that environment because it's secured, it's audited, you have title, just like they're doing out and using third-party facilities to house the metal. So they've become confident with our storage mechanisms. They've approved that as being safe for the customers. And then for a customer, the way it typically works is you have to create an account with both OneGold and the IRA provider. And then from there, you fund it through the IRA provider, who then sends us the funds, and then you buy whatever you want to buy. They keep track from a tax standpoint for you, what your holdings are, what your taxes might be. They manage all that for you. But really, the way it looks is you just deal with us from a day-to-day standpoint. You get the money put in, you can buy and sell at your leisure. It's very, very straightforward. And customers have enjoyed it. I think we've gotten something north of $2 to $3 million already from IRAs. They're coming. Our business is probably this month, will be $8 to $10 million in revenue in a month. Think about that. 13-month-old company already doing $100 million run rate basis. Adding customers, I'm looking at the data. We're adding about 150 users a day. That's not a bad trend for a company as young as we are. So I think we're onto something, and the IRA companies seem to be very much embracing the concept. And look, what we're all hoping, the IRA companies and us, we're hoping we bring people into precious metals that never really thought about it, because maybe they were a little concerned about having physical in their home. Maybe they didn't trust ETFs and going through broker sites and paying fees to a broker, and maybe even paying fees to the ETF, and maybe paying to a broker or guy who's managing your money for you. So I think it's kind of opening up metals to a new crowd.
Yeah. So, this would be something where guys who are looking to, let's say, roll over their 401k or part of their 401k into a precious metals IRA. This is something that's right down their alley.
Right down. Very simple. We use Strata today. You'll see 2 or 3 more providers on our site in the next 30 days. We want to make it easy for you. We are also picking IRA partners that we think are easy to do business with, that have fair pricing, that takes care of the customer. We don't want an IRA provider that isn't as respectable as OneGold is.
Okay. Ken Lewis, before we wrap up, how can our viewers learn more about the developments from OneGold or even sign up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think the app environment's a way to try it, but I will tell you, we're launching a brand new desktop experience today, actually. Um, a more modern experience, but the desktop helps explain OneGold probably better than the app does. So if you go to onegold.com, a lot of information in there. We're very transparent on pricing, storage fees. We're transparent on how the product works, on trust and how you're protected. It's all there on the desktop. And on the app, we have a lot of it there, but not quite as much because the app is really more transaction oriented. But that's how I think you can find us. Feel free to always send us an email. Like I said, great customer service. We've got, I want to think how many reviews it is now, but on Shopper Approved, I know we're north of 1,000 reviews on Shopper Approved. I think something like 1,500 reviews, 4.8, 4.7 rating. And just look what the customers are saying about us. Great service, great product, easy to use, great pricing.
Okay, Ken Lewis, we appreciate the time you've given us. And is there anything else you would like to include and let our viewers know?
No, I appreciate it. And look, any ideas anyone has, we want to be disruptive on the digital side. We always want to take care of people on the physical side. I think there's ways to make digital really, really powerful. We're staying away from cryptos, right? I don't mean if you own a crypto, that's great, good for you. But we're staying away from it from a gold and silver standpoint because we don't like the regulatory risks there. We don't want anyone to have any challenges about that. We've done all our homework on making sure we're up to par what we need to be doing to be compliant with the laws. And so, our hope is to be disruptive. Any ideas people have or anyone who wants to partner with us, we're listening because we want to continue to evolve this thing and make it something that is bigger than what it is today.
Hey, Ken Lewis, we thank you for your time once again, and we wish APMEX OneGold, and we wish you all the best this upcoming new year.
Hey, man, thanks for the time.
Thank you also, Ken. Appreciate it. Hope we can do it again sometime. That was Ken Lewis, the CEO of APMEX and OneGold. To find out more about APMEX, please visit apmex.com. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the SBTV channel to be updated on new content. And do also check out the SBTV podcast on iTunes and Spotify.